hats for the playing of the national anthem of Puerto Rico. Please remain standing for the playing of the Canadian national anthem. The officials for tonight's game: crew chief Marcos Benito from Brazil, umpire Leandro Lescano from Argentina, and umpire Fernando Cavalcante from Brazil.
Welcome back inside Hall D at the Expo Center, just north of downtown Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. There you take a look at the officials for today's game between Canada and Puerto Rico. Both teams coming in at 1-0 following victories on Thursday, both blowout wins. Puerto Rico defeated Dominican Republic, while Canada knocked off Cuba. Cuba, about half an hour ago, defeated Dominican Republic 70-68. Thanks for tuning in as you take a look at the starting lineups for both teams. My name is Doug McLean. Pleased to be joined by Kira Lyons. And Kira, for Canada, they are the number 4 ranked team in the world. Puerto Rico, a team that is a team to be reckoned with, but it's going to be interesting to see how they can play with them. We talked a little bit off air about the athleticism of Canada. What do you think the keys are for the Canadians to come out of here with another win?
I think the Canadians just need to play their game. I think that this tournament is a lot more about coming together, finding maybe not their identity, because obviously they've been playing together for quite some time, but it's an opportunity to work on some things and really focus on themselves. They know going into this that they're the favorite. Like you said, they're 4th in the world. Puerto Rico, 24 in the world. Not going to be an easy matchup. None of these games at this point, on the way to Tokyo, is going to be an easy matchup. But I think if they focus on the things that they do well, the things that they want to do well, the things that they need to do better, and worry more about their play than Puerto Rico's, I think that's probably going to be the main focus. And just being Team Canada, being gritty, being athletic, running the floor. They have so many dynamic players on their team. It's amazing the amount of ball handlers they have, and double machines on this team, and just a very high IQ. And so I think if they play their game, Puerto Rico's going to have a tough time with them. So I think focusing on themselves more than their opponent tonight is probably going to be a big key.
And on the flip side for Puerto Rico, again, that 50-point win on Thursday, and they really impressed with also their pace and their size. Their bigs able to control the paint in that game against the Dominican Republic. What do they have to do today to find a way to knock off the hometown favorite Canadians?
They're going to have to win, the small battles, the 50-50 balls. They need to disrupt the play of Canada. We saw Canada when they in their first game in this tournament, and they just ran the court. They controlled the game the entire time. They have to find a way to disrupt their play. Like, we had watched the game, the Dominican Republic and Cuba before this, and we talked about how Dominican Republic had so many touches on balls, and Cuba couldn't get a flow on their offense. And I think trying to disrupt that is going to be a big key, because they have some height and they have some girls, that could probably hang. But as a general rule, the Canadians are just much bigger and longer, and that's going to be a big struggle. So it's making sure they hit their box outs and get the rebounds in the defensive end is going to be really huge, and just getting lots of touches and trying to disrupt the flow of the Canadians' game.
When these two teams faced each other during the AmeriCup that was played in Puerto Rico back in September, Canada defeated Puerto Rico 78-50 en route to a second place finish. Puerto Rico ended up fourth in that tournament. Now again, as Kira and I said on the initial broadcast, the lineups are always so different from tournament to tournament. In that case for Canada, they finished second, but arguably two of their best players, in Kia Nurse and Natalie Achonwa, did not play. And Puerto Rico as well had some players, Pamela Rosado as an example, who did not play. She's in the starting lineup here today. It will be Lozada Cabbage taking the tip against Raincock Akunwe, and it is Raincock Akunwe that comes up with it for Canada. We're underway, going from left to right on your screen. Team Canada in the red with black and white trim. Kia Nurse short on that three. Rebound comes out to Guathme. Puerto Rico from right to left in the white jerseys with blue numbers and red trim. And just like she did Thursday night, O'Neill, who was hot in that game against Dominican Republic, starts things off well for Puerto Rico.
We had talked about the athleticism and just the skill level of Team Canada, and right now 4 of the 5 starters on the floor are in the WNBA. This is the closest thing in Edmonton that you're going to get to a WNBA game. It's so impressive, the amount of stars we have on this roster. Active players, there's 5 WNBA players on the team and 9 that have been in the league. Like, that is just best Canadian team assembled, that I've ever seen anyways. And so it's so impressive and super exciting for Canadian basketball.
Sammy Hill short on that three for the for Puerto Rico, sorry. Couple players, the one with the ball does have some WNBA experience. That is Jasmine Guathme. She was actually drafted by the Minnesota Lynx, 14th overall in the second round back in 2016. Never played for the Lynx, did play for San Antonio and the Indiana Fever, and has played professionally in Australia and Spain since. The vast majority of the players on these two teams did play college basketball in the NCAA in the U.S. That ball tipped away, and back up the floor is Rosado for Puerto Rico. Kicks it back, Quinones for 3. That is well short. She had a great game on Thursday night, did Quinones. 20 points to go along with 7 rebounds in just over 22 minutes of action. And in fact was perfect from long range, 2 for 2. Achonwa Nurse thought about it, thinks about it. A little strong.
Slight hesitation there disrupted her rhythm.
And now this is Pamela Rosado. As mentioned, did not play at the AmeriCup, but on the roster here for Puerto Rico. O'Neill pull-up jumper, that one good. Jennifer O'Neill, native of Bronx, New York. Played with the Minnesota Lynx, 13 games, undrafted in the WNBA. Carlton finds Achonwa. That one will go off of Achonwa, out of bounds. 5-2 Puerto Rico early. Hill defending Rosado. Guathme backdoor, but led O'Neill a little bit much. That ball sails out of bounds, and it will be Canada basketball. Sammy Hill. Now Achonwa has Carlton cutting, but then kicks it out to Nurse. Nurse crossover, gets fouled by O'Neill.
It's one thing I think too is Puerto Rico, she got caught, O'Neill got caught there reaching in a little bit, and Canada does take care of the ball really well. Their guards, although they are tall and big, they do have really good ball handlers, and if you reach in like that on Kia Nurse, you know, WNBA all-rookie, WNBA All-Star, started in the All-Star game this year. You reach on her, she's going to make you pay, and it was a good example of that there.
O'Neill left open momentarily. Cut three a little strong. Hill finds Nurse up ahead. Zips it inside. Achonwa spins. Shot won't go. Canada struggling from the field early. Nice job defensively there by Lozada Cabbage. Whoa, what a bounce pass. I didn't even see who she was going to there. Quinones came cutting from the right side. From our angle, I'm like, where is this ball going?
I saw who she was going to, but I don't think she knew the ball was coming to her on that cut. What a good vision, beautiful pass. It just didn't pan out, but it was a really good look.
Sammy Hill, former Virginia Tech Hokie, finds Nurse. Aim into the game for the first time, and that's going to be another foul on Puerto Rico. That'll be their second team foul. And that will go on O'Neill. That's her second, so that's big for Puerto Rico. She's going to have to sit down with two quick fouls. And just as you talked about, trying to defend Kia Nurse, that is not an easy task. And O'Neill, slightly the worse for wear on that front so far.
And Kia did a really good job of selling that one as well.
And selling it did Rainkaka-Kunwe. She had to convince that ball it was rolling around a bit and then drop. But a nice take here by the veteran of this Canadian national team. 7 years with Team Canada.
Such an athletic take. She was so off balance, fading away, still found a way to square herself up, give a little pump, and get a really good shot off. So incredibly athletic.
Fundamentals at full speed. Lozada Cabbage in the corner with Aim on her. Finds Guathme. Carlton defending her beyond the arc. Shot clock winding down. Loses it, gets it back, has to just throw it up. Rainkaka-Kunwe comes up with the defensive board. Aim jumper, a little strong. Carlton tried to tip it out, and then it's stolen. Lozada Cabbage, Kia Nurse, beautiful left hand, adjusts midair. Canada now on a 5-0 run, 7-5.
Tough to stop that. So strong, athletic, and quick. That is tough to stop.
Backdoor, nice play there by Rosado. She drove Hill up the lane and then just quick cut back, and Lozada Cabbage found her. Nurse gets a screen from Aim, takes it herself. Got bumped there, gets the ball back, but she was out of bounds when she left the floor. So it will be Puerto Rico ball. 7-7. So relatively good pace to start this game, but both teams struggling a little bit from the field in the early going.
Yeah, it's 7-7, pretty even, but it doesn't seem like either of them have really found their game quite yet. I know it's the they've been here before, especially Canada. They've been through, they've gone to the Olympics. They've gone through the journey before. But it's the first game on Saturday. It's quite a bit of bigger crowd than it was on Thursday. It's Saturday night. It's a big game.
Yep.
Winner of this is 2-0. Good chance they're going to come out of this tournament on top. So I don't think they're really playing that jittery, but it's just finding that rhythm, getting into the game. Like, it is different going from your warm-ups. You stand around for a little bit. So it looks like we're getting into that now.
And the one thing that we just saw the number there, Canada 3 for 10 from the field in the early going. I mean, part of that certainly has to be credit to the Puerto Rican defense. We saw that on Thursday night as they took on Dominican Republic. They gave them nothing in the first quarter, and Puerto Rico doing a little bit of the same here so far against Canada.
And the last time they played each other in Puerto Rico, like you had mentioned earlier in the broadcast. And that was a huge thing for Puerto Rico, was really low shooting percentage and low rebounds. And I think that's a testament to Canada's length in their defense. Obviously, you're getting pressure on every shot, and you're, cleaning up the boards and doing your job that way. And I'm sure that matchup was very beneficial for Puerto Rico to find out, what it's like to play against this Canada roster coming into here tonight. And like we had said before, you always learn more from a loss than you do from a win. And so I'm sure that this is a different matchup and a different feeling than it was in Puerto Rico late in September. Which, now that I think about it, they played Puerto Rico in Puerto Rico. Now they're playing Canada.
That's right.
And Canada is a complete flip.
A couple missed threes by Puerto Rico, and now Canada will try to grab a lead. Kim Gaucher does just that. The 17-year veteran of the national team. And they're going to rule it a 2, long 2.
And today may be the story of veterans. The game we had earlier, Dominican Republic and Cuba, they had Galindo and Monsac, on their respective teams, and both just absolutely led the charge. And like you said, Kim Gaucher, a 17-year veteran, so she knows, she's been there, not afraid of taking big shots, big moments. So, obviously very beneficial to have her in moments like this.
Guathme kicks it over to Ali Gibson. Gibson takes a screen, then passes it back. Here's Salaman. Ooh, that was amazing to even get that shot off. Didn't catch rim at all.
I thought it had a chance. I thought it was actually going to go in.
Shayna Pellington, Shayna Pellington to the game for the first time for Canada, as is Jamie Scott and Ruth Hamlin. Hamlin called for the travel, so it will be Puerto Rico ball.
The last time these teams met up, Jamie Scott was the big performer with 20 points, and Kayla Alexander with 19. So a favorable matchup that day. So I wonder if it'll translate into today as well. Like we had mentioned, Achonwa and Nurse weren't at the last matchup, and that changes dynamics quite a bit on Team Canada, and I could imagine just in this matchup in general. But Jamie Scott, 20 points last time they played, which is impressive.
Kayla Alexander not on the roster this time around for Team Canada. Foul there going to Gaucher on the hold. Puerto Rico definitely struggling from long range here in this opening quarter. Gibson throws that one up off the window and a little strong, and Pellington back up the floor for Canada. Gaucher looks inside. Hamlin. That one contested from behind. Might have been deflected. Quinones, I'm not sure if she meant to try to go around the back there or just lost it. Nonetheless, it is Canada basketball. Pellington loses it, gets it back. Naeem jumper, short rebound. Hamlin tipped away again. Two Canadians right there, and allowed Puerto Rico to deflect it away. Another three missed, that time from Gibson. So right now, Puerto Rico content to shoot from long range, but they're having no success. That ball sails out of bounds. Puerto Rico right now 1 for 8 from the three-point line.
Definitely feels like there's a bit of a disconnect here. It's not as clean, and I don't know if it's contagious in here, because that's what it was last game.
Yeah.
The bouncy rims and the little bit of chaos. So hopefully Team Canada and Puerto Rico can kind of rein it in and just find their rhythm a little bit, because it doesn't feel like they're really in tune quite yet.
Gibson, hard take, drives right into one of the Canadian players. That ball's out of bounds in the hands of Gaucher, so it will be Puerto Rico ball. 8 on the shot clock. Maldonado came right down the middle. They couldn't find her. Guathme, 5 on the shot clock. Puts it on the floor. Loses it. And it's going to be a push on Canada. And that'll be the second on Gaucher.
That's tough. 2 times in a row, you step in to take a charge, take the contact, don't get the call.
And we're going to look at it here. I didn't see a whole lot of contact there from Gaucher from behind. Nonetheless, that is a foul on her, her second. She'll take a seat. Guathme will head to the free throw line. And this is the first. Hits the second. Some pressure shown by Puerto Rico. Achanwa has it stripped from behind by the hard-charging Gibson.
That's one of the worst feelings, especially if you're dribbling and you're just dribbling up the court and someone comes flying up behind you and strips you and you just don't see it coming at all. It's just it's so deflating.
Nice cut by Gibson. Lozada Cabbage finds her, but that layup nowhere near connecting.
Talk about deflating.
And maybe it's not sure if that's nerves too. That was really strong off the glass for Gibson, who's been really good and energetic here in the early going in this game. Lob
nice
inside,
pass.
Bucket goes. Miranda Aim from Jamie Scott.
What a beautiful pass by Jamie Scott. Just soft touch right over the fingertips.
And a
Perfect
really,
position, what a play.
Really nice seal. Nice back seal by Aim. Will now head to the free throw line. Native of London, Ontario. Former Pepperdine Wave. She, along with Gaucher, the two real veterans of this team, 14 years with the national team, 2 Olympics for her. Completes the three-point play.
She also played in the WNBA. She was signed with the Tulsa Shock in 2011 as a free agent, so lots of experience with her.
3 in and out, rebound. Lozada Cabbage gets fouled. Puerto Rico doing a wonderful job on the board so far. Only credited with 2, now 3 offensive rebounds. But they have been a factor on the glass all evening. You mentioned Aim signed by the Tulsa Shock. Sabrina Lozada Cabbage played for the Wichita State Shockers. Just graduated this past spring, in fact. Hits both free throws. 12-10 Canada up. And again, pressure shown by Puerto Rico, handled by Canada. Pellington knifes her way through the Puerto Rican zone.
Draws that alley-oop on the rebound. She got back up so quick. I hope they show it.
Right
Look
there,
at that.
just up. So bucket won't count, but impressive nonetheless.
Bouncy.
And that one decides to fall through the mesh. Second one good as well. 14-10, the Canadians in front. Cross-court pass, now zip back. Maldonado hits a 3. Big shot for Puerto Rico, just their second 3 of the game. Aim to Achanwa, now Scott. finds Pellington. Nice work against that zone, and Aim completes it.
And you could just see Aim directing everyone. You know, she knew that she had that seal and she wanted the ball, and she was directing and talking. The communication on this Team Canada is really impressive. Just, you know, from yesterday sitting on the sidelines and being able to hear it, they are always talking, and that's so key, offensively, especially defensively. But yeah, they're always talking and communicating. It's really impressive.
Solomon with a really impressive finish there too on that runner in the lane. And that will make it a 16-15 game through 10 minutes. So I mean, we knew this was going to be an interesting matchup of two teams that are built similarly. And right now, as we take a look at some of the initial numbers, Canada struggling from long range, settling down a little bit inside the arc. But the one thing that's impressed me so far has been Puerto Rico's presence around the rim and how they played defensively.
Yeah, they're putting a lot of pressure on and just not allowing Canada to really control, you know, their possessions too much, and they haven't ran at all. That was one thing that we saw on Thursday was Nurse beating everybody down the floor 3-4 times in a row. We haven't seen that yet. We haven't seen their transition game, and that might come a little bit later as fitness plays a factor. But I also think they've only shot 3 threes. They've missed all 3, but Canada is a good three-point shooting team. They have a lot of women, on that team that shoot the ball very well from beyond the arc, and I think that's going to come. They've only taken 3 shots, so even though, you know, they haven't made any, they haven't given themselves a huge opportunity, and they'll fall for sure. They're too good of a shooting team for them not to fall.
Puerto Rico right now 29% from the field, 5 of 17, 2 of 10 from long range. For Canada, 40% from the field, 66 of 15, I should say. And as we mentioned, 0 for 3 from the three-point line. Free throws, 4 of 4 is Canada, 3 of 4 for Puerto Rico. 6 turnovers, though, committed by Team Canada, 6 as well by Puerto Rico. So it's one of those games where you look at the numbers and what we've seen on the floor, and it's been very even so far. Canada with 5 points off of those 6 Puerto Rican turnovers. Puerto Rico has only converted 1. Guathme coming over, still kind of grabbing at her midsection a bit. Not sure when she took that one hit a little bit earlier, she came up pretty slow, so sort of keep an eye on that. Rosado, O'Neal in the game with those 2 fouls. Nurse defending her. Jumper goes for O'Neal.
Great shot. She has such a quick release and really doesn't need a whole lot of space to be able to get that off, but she's taken some pretty quick shots with Nurse defending her quite closely, so she's quick.
10 points for her on Thursday night. Here is Rosado. Lozada, Cabbage. That 3 no good and just kisses off the rim and out of bounds. So it'll be Canada basketball. Rebounds fairly even in that opening quarter, 11-10 in favor of Cuba, 3-1 on the offensive glass. Shot clock down to 5. Nurse, the little runner.
She just creates shots so well for herself. It just doesn't look like there's anything, and she's so athletic and quick and smart that she just creates them.
And another uncontested missed layup by Puerto Rico as they execute very well in the half court, but unable to finish. And Pellington will draw the foul on Guathme, and that's 2. 1 by Gibson, 1 there by Rosado. Now Pellington, you see the replay there, just could not quite spin that one in. Foul goes on Guathme, native of Bealton, Virginia. She played her college basketball at James Madison. First free throw missed by Pellington. Second one goes, and she will take a seat Sammy Hill will come back in for her. Hill defending the very quick Rosado.
We talked about how Canada, although they're longer, quick, she kept with her there. You know, like Pellington, Hill, Nurse, they've all had smaller, quick guards that they're picking up, and they're able to keep pace with them and not really even have to use their length a whole lot yet, which is just another advantage, you know, as the game continues, is being able to keep up with the foot speed and then also have that reach on them. Sammy Hill's probably got 4 inches.
O'Neill finds Guathme, pull-up jumper, nice shot for Jasmine Guathme.
It's a nice looking jumper.
Hill to Rain-Cock-a-Koonway, had Nurse backdoor, but held on to it. Chanwa slips off that screen. Defended well by Quinones. Shot ends up in the hands of Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico has contested very well around the rim. Lozada Cabbage finds Rosado. Guathme with Carlton on her. That jumper a little strong. Rain-Cock-a-Koonway comes back up the floor. Thought about sending into the cutting Achonwa, held on to it, and now Hill will call out instructions. Rain-Cock-a-Koonway left open, knew that one wasn't good for the moment it left her hand. She took off right away. And Guathme back up the floor. O'Neill, nice look. Drew Hill out to her and then zipped that one in to Quinones. Nurse, 3, won't drop. And right now the pace being dictated by Puerto Rico. They're the ones that seem to have the rhythm and the control on the floor right now, and timeout called here by Lisa Tomaitis. They want to talk things over, trailing 21-19.
Yeah, Canada seems like they're working really hard to not get great opportunities. So something's not connecting. But yeah, their offense, you know, they're running through it and trying to execute it, but it just seems like they're working really hard. And at the end of the, you know, everything, all the ball movement, it's not the shot that they were really looking for. They're heavily contested, or so yeah, it's just not really doing anything necessarily terribly. It's just not in rhythm, and sometimes it takes a little while.
Here you see the numbers to this point. Shooting-wise, 35% apiece. Puerto Rico has taken 3 more field goals than has Canada. And Puerto Rico has been able to get out on the break. You mentioned a few minutes ago that was something we saw from Canada a lot on Thursday. It hasn't really happened a lot today, but Puerto Rico, to the contrary, they've done fairly well getting out in transition here in the first half.
And I haven't watched Puerto Rico, obviously, nearly as much as I have Canada, but I do know that as the game goes on, the pace and the fitness and the strength of the Canadians tends to be a problem.
Right.
They're so athletic and can just run, and they're so long and fast, and so many different ball handlers allows for so much diversity in their offenses and their attacks and the balance of their attack. And it's a tough roster to keep pace with for any amount of time. So Puerto Rico's doing obviously a fantastic job. They're leading. It'll be interesting to see as the game goes on if that becomes a factor, or if Puerto Rico will be able to maintain pace.
Puerto Rico shows some three-quarter court pressure and then drops back into zone. Ayim has that one go off her foot, and then a foul by Rain-Cock-a-Koonway. Just has that one dribble off her foot into the hands of Guathme. Pamela Rosado from Arecibo Puerto Rico. O'Neill has Nurse fly by, but that shot won't fall. And Hill back up the floor for Canada. Aim with the screen from Hill left open. And Achanwa on the board, or sorry, that's Raincock Akunwe, I should say, on the board. Gets fouled. So nice job there by Hill to set things up for Aim for the open look.
Raincock Akunwe, as obvious as it is in this game, very good at rebounding, getting to the rim. She averaged a double-double in her second year at Simon Fraser in the NCAA, and that's kind of a story of a lot of these players, I find, that they, there's not someone who is just a scorer, just a rebounder. It seems like everyone's quite well balanced. Lots of double-doubles within this roster.
Nice
Beautiful.
find from Kia Nurse, who spun around, and Aim does a nice job cutting late. And we're back tied again at 21. Aaliyah Edwards, high school student still, into the game for the first time here tonight for Canada.
I believe she's committed to UConn as well. So impressive. UConn, one of the most dominant teams in sport history and women's basketball, NCAA for sure. Kia Nurse also went to UConn. 2 national championships, I believe.
2, yeah, in her first 2 years, if I'm not mistaken.
So Aaliyah Edwards joining a very dominant force in the NCAA.
A funny feeling, maybe Kia Nurse put in a call or two, maybe trying to, having seen what Edwards could do.
Yeah.
Maybe it's always nice to have those connections. And maybe putting a bug in Edwards' ear, hey, maybe this is where you should go to school.
It's pretty good. I won 2 national titles. I don't know if you're interested in that or.
You kind of like that sort of thing. Lozada Cabbage on the missed 3-pointer, collects the board. Here is O'Neill. Salomon had a really solid night Thursday. And Aim nearly strips it away from Quinones, and then she does. Zips it up ahead to Nurse. Nice pump fake, gets Gibson flying by her, and that gets the crowd into it. It's been a bit of a hesitant crowd, I'll say, a little bit here at Expo Center in terms of really getting things going. And you and I both know from the summer watching the Edmonton Stingers, this can be a pretty loud building when it really starts rolling.
Absolutely. I'm really happy they actually decided to host the FIBA pre-qualifying tournament here instead of at the Saville. The Saville is a beautiful center, and I loved playing there, but audience gets lost a little bit. If you don't have a full house, it does get lost a little bit. So this just creates a little bit different atmosphere. And it is funny how different it feels for this tournament than it does for Stingers games, though.
True.
It's very different atmosphere. But yeah, just a better venue, I think, for something like this than, say, the Saville would be.
Those of you tuning in from outside of Canada, the Edmonton Stingers, Edmonton's professional team playing in the Canadian Elite Basketball League, that just completed its first season there. Again, you look at the numbers, pretty even for the most part. Canada, though, 0 for 6 from 3-point range. And again, as Kira said a few minutes ago, this is a very good 3-point shooting Canadian team. So we'll see if that side of their game settles in a bit. But there's an interesting number, too. Points in the paint, 16-6 in favor of Canada. We thought in the early going, in the pregame, we thought that might be a factor here in terms of the size and the athleticism of Canada. Not to say Puerto Rico doesn't have it. They have a lot of it. But Canada's ability in the paint may be proving itself already here.
And length. I feel like Canada is so long. Like, they're not necessarily heavy, like big women that way, but they're just long and athletic, and that makes their footwork and their movements and their finishing around the rim just so much more difficult to guard when there's that much length. It's like a Pascal Siakam.
Yep.
Long, can move really quick, good movements, good spins, and I feel like Canada has a lot of women that are capable of playing that way, and that's a really tough style of play to guard because you can't do anything about length.
No, that's the thing. Physical attribute, it's tough to beat. Salomon just had her back foot step on that sideline as that shot clock wound down.
Even just looking at the girls on the floor right now, Aaliyah Edwards, Neo, Raincock Akunwe, Aim, they're all so athletic. Like, they just look Uh-oh. I thought Ayim had rolled her ankle there
Yeah,
for
well,
a
she
second.
kind of came hopping out of that jumper.
But they're so athletic, and you could, like, they're very similar body type, those three sitting in the key. That's a pretty daunting sight, even on offense, like trying to get in there, get into the paint, and get some easy looks. That's a pretty scary sight to see a wall of that athleticism staring back at you.
Gibson kicks it out. Lozada Cabbage gives it right back to her. Shot clock winding down. Salomon has to put it up. That one off the back iron. Rebound, and Nurse takes some contact from Guathme, no call. Edwards hands it off to Scott. There's a lot of Cabbage hedging out on her. Rain Kakakunwe gives it back. Aaliyah Edwards, that three short. Rebound to Solomon. Tushali Solomon gets fouled. Almost lost the handle there a little bit and gets bumped by Rain Kakakunwe. So she will head to the free throw line. She played her college basketball at Lincoln Memorial. It's an NCAA Division II school. And speaking of players that can score, back in the game in 2010, put up 44 points, which at the time, and I haven't been able to confirm if this is still a South Atlantic Conference record, but at the time it was. So clearly a player that can put the ball in the basket.
And I can imagine watching her do that would have been very entertaining because she's so quick and shifty, and she's not a very tall player. She's quite small out there right now, and I can imagine she's probably pretty used to that going through her career. So she'd have to get creative and I'm assuming shoot probably quite a few threes. So it'd be an entertaining 40 points or 44 points, whatever you said there, to watch.
Ball goes off the knee of Guathme out of bounds. 16 on the shot clock, 3:15 to go in this very tightly contested opening half. Quinones will check out of the game. Into the game is Diana Kuzmanik. Nurse to Ayim. Tries to muscle her way in. And they're going to call that a push on Puerto Rico's number 24, Guathme, using that arm bar. One of those calls in the sport, no matter where you are, that's sometimes it's called a lot, sometimes it's left alone completely. Ayim zips it over to Edwards. Achanwa back seal. That ball just a little too high. Great idea for Canada.
I like the thought, and I like the fact that she tried. That's a tough play, especially two-handed, because you don't have the same touch that you would with one. But I like the thought. Anyways, wasn't executed, but a good idea.
And she will come out of the game. Kim Gaucher will check back in. Shayna Pellington will also come back into the game for Canada, taking Kia Nurse out. Solomon takes the inbound, and now it's worked up to Guathme. Tries to explode around Ayim, and she'll draw the foul and earn herself a trip to the line. So just when you thought or felt in the building that Canada might be getting a little bit of momentum, Puerto Rico's done a really nice job of kind of settling things back down, using their quickness like you see there when they can, but playing a pretty controlled pace.
Sometimes coming into these games too, like if you're Puerto Rico, you're playing against Canada at home. They're the 4th ranked team in the world, having phenomenal success as of late. You don't have anything to lose coming into this game. There's no pressure, there's no expectations. You played them at home and lost to them, and you're coming into this game having learned a few lessons and understanding the matchup a little better, and you're the underdog.
Yep.
And an underdog mentality can be a very dangerous thing, and protecting Canada, they're always been so gritty, and now they have the talent and the skill to match the grittiness, but they understand how, an underdog can be a dangerous position, and so you'd hope that they don't let Puerto Rico continue to stay in this for too long, because pressure can mount, and as an underdog, it's like, I got nothing to lose. I might as well go for it, and it changes the game.
And there's the first 3 of the game for Team Canada. After nice buckets inside by Pellington and Salomon, Canada finally gets on the board from long range. Jamie Scott from Clarkson, Washington originally, played her basketball with the Oregon State Beavers. Shot clock winding down. Lozada Cabbage has to put it on the floor. They're not going to get it off. Shot clock violation. Puerto Rico, not sure if they just lost track of time. No one seemed to be overly urgent in terms of looking to get a shot off as the clock wound down.
I didn't hear the bench calling it out or anything either, and Guafme, I don't think, really had any idea.
Always tough that when you get that extra pass extremely late in a shot clock. Here, you do something with it.
Yeah, such a tough position to be in when you get handed the ball with 2 seconds, and yeah, it's tough.
2 quick players going head-to-head here, Pellington and Salomon. Nice job defensively by Salomon just to get a hand on that ball. And Gibson back up the floor. Allie Gibson, native of Stockton, California. She also played at Oregon State.
Oh.
Salomon, beautiful take into the lane. Ball would not spin off the glass and in.
I don't want to admit this, but I was really hoping she was going to make that hoop because that was nice. A very nice play by Salomon there to get to the rim.
Numbers for her on Thursday, 6 points, so relatively quiet, but it's a good example of you don't take too much stock in the numbers because she was very impressive on Thursday. We were talking a lot about her, even if the numbers, at least scoring-wise, didn't necessarily reflect that. Hill. Back to it, Chanwa. Hill left open, 3, good, 2 straight for Team Canada.
And they were trying to put it into Edwards there. She had a huge mismatch with Salomon guarding her, but beautiful shot by Hill.
And some of the Canadian fans trying to get the crowd going here a little bit. Like I said, a bit of a tentative start. You almost get a sense in the building here. They're just kind of waiting for something explosive to happen for Team Canada. Of course, the ultimate goal for both of these teams is the Olympics. Canada, 6 Olympic appearances. 1976 in Montreal, where they finished 6th. 1984, their best finish ever, where they finished 4th. At the Los Angeles Games, of course, those were the heavily boycotted games of 1984. 11th at the 96 Games in Atlanta. 10th at 2000 in Sydney. Didn't appear again until London in 2012, where they finished 8th. And then at Rio, 7th back in 2016. The rebounding numbers you see there even at 18 apiece. Puerto Rico looking for their first ever Olympic appearance, so this is huge for them. They've made 1 appearance in the World Cup, used to be the World Championship all time, and that was last year in Spain. They lost all 3 games in the group stage, but just by that alone, you can see this is a country that's coming on the basketball scene, but one that is looking to make their inaugural Olympic appearance.
And got 3rd at the America Cup, who they lost to Brazil, and Brazil's a pretty highly ranked team. Lost to them in the 3rd place game. Yeah, so they're definitely making an appearance and making a run for it.
You can just tell by the talent on this floor for Puerto Rico where this country is at basketball-wise, because they've got a lineup that can do some damage. You've mentioned it a few times already, Kira. I mean, they've got a lineup that can cause some problems because they're so quick. They have length themselves, so they're a lineup that if they do get to the Olympics, I don't think I want to face them.
And again, underdog mentality if they get there as well. It's in a first time that you take your country to the Olympics. It's obviously a huge experience, but going into that, never been, there's obviously a huge underdog mentality, and like I said, that can be a very dangerous thing, and it can rear its head at any point, and you get on a roll and the pressure's not really on you to do anything, so you just go and play. You don't think too much, you just play because no one's expecting much out of you. So
right. Well, only 2 teams right now are confirmed to be at the Olympics in Tokyo. That's the host Japan and the United States as defending World Cup champions. Those 2 teams will still compete in the Olympic qualifying tournament in one of the 4 tournaments in February, but their results are irrelevant because they're already going. So coming into the game is Danečka Canales, number 22. Under a minute to go, 6-point Canada lead. Edwards works well against that pressure, and now Hill with the ball. Gaucher into Edwards, spins, nice shot, but it won't drop. A Chanwa rebound, that one won't go. Puerto Rico with a chance to close into this deficit. Maybe a half-second differential shot clock and game clock. So this will most likely be the last shot of the quarter. Quinones, Lozada Cabbage. 3 will not drop. Rebound out of bounds, so Canada will have an opportunity to hurl one up with 1.4. If they can get the ball deep enough up the floor. And they're not even going to bother. Sammy Hill just brought it in. So a very interesting first half, 33-27. Canada showed some signs of really starting to stretch things against Puerto Rico, but every time they did that, the Puerto Ricans had an answer. So full credit to Puerto Rico for hanging tight against the 4th best team in the world.
Yeah, it's been not quite the same team that we saw on Thursday in that first little bit. Canada's still, I think, working to find their rhythm a little bit. It's getting better, and I think their percentages have gone up for shooting. But yeah, like you said, credit to Puerto Rico for their defensive pressure and just really being able to disrupt Canada's flow and not really giving them anything easy. I feel like Canada's had to work really hard for their 33 points. And on Thursday, I felt like buckets were, falling really easily for them. Lots of transition, and that hasn't been the case here tonight. But I think the second half is, I'm going to think is going to be quite different. Like I said in the earlier game, like teams don't get to this point by struggling like that all game.
Right.
They're able to adjust, they're able to change their play to be more successful, and I can imagine that that's what Canada is working on right now, and they'll come out a very different team in the second half.
You've seen some of the numbers pop up on the screen, but just to run through some of the numbers from the opening half, there you see the 2 leading scorers. It's O'Neill for Puerto Rico and Aim for Canada with 9 apiece. Shooting-wise for Puerto Rico from the field, they are 9 of 28, so 32%, not shooting overly well, yet are only down by 6 from the three-point line. Again, under 16%, 2 of 13 in the opening half. 11 turnovers for Puerto Rico, 19 rebounds, including 3 on the offensive glass. For Canada, 20 rebounds, 3 on the offensive glass, so pretty even that way. Their leading scorer, we mentioned Aim with 9, Kia Nurse with 6. She scored early and then was a little quieter as the half went on. 8 turnovers for Canada. Sorry, Kira.
I would think that Nurse would be a little bit more of a factor in the second half too, just with her speed and like we had talked about, like just the fitness level of Canada, but her ability to get down the floor so quickly. And if Canada starts to transition a little bit, I think that maybe that'll wake Nurse up a little bit. Not that she's still got 6 points, but just haven't really utilized her speed and transition quite like they did on Thursday, and I think that's something that they probably could do a little bit more.
Yeah. 41% from the field is Canada in the opening half, 22% from the three-point line. That's helped by 2 straight three-pointers to wrap up the opening half. 8 turnovers for Team Canada. So again, statistically and on the scoreboard, a pretty evenly played half. So I asked the question in the early game, and I'll ask you again. I mean, you've been in the dressing room with Lisa Tomaitis as head coach when you were a member of the University of Saskatchewan Huskies. What's her message, do you think, to this team right now?
Calm. She's going to be calm. Wait a little bit. They'll chat with the coaches outside for a bit, let the girls in the dressing room discuss with each other. I don't really think she's going to be telling them a whole lot. I think that these women know what needs to be done. It's not like they're playing terrible and there's massive changes that need to be made, right? It's not huge matchup problems. It's not them turning the ball over a ton because of the pressure. It's nothing like that. It's just they need to you know, hit some shots and find their rhythm a little bit and get some easier looks, because it just, like I said before, they're working hard for what they've got, and I feel like there's an easier path to scoring for Canada, and they just haven't really found that yet. So I don't know if she's really going to say a whole lot, but just kind of, you know, talk them through it, have a conversation with the women in there, and come out just confident and calm and ready to attack the second half.
We are at halftime, 33-27, Canada leading Puerto Rico here at Hall D at the Expo Center in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. My name is Doug McLean. She's Kira Lyons. We're going to pause for about 8 minutes and be back with the second half of the second game of our doubleheader here at the FIBA Women's Olympic pre-qualifying tournament in Edmonton.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the court, Team Canada. Welcome back to the court, Team Puerto Rico. Toyota, the proud mobility partner of Canada Basketball. Toyota's partnership with Canada Basketball represents their commitment to mobility and movement for all through vehicles, sports experiences, and more. Edmonton knows how to deliver winter, right? With outdoor patios, citywide snowball fights, and deep freezer races, and a spectacular view of the northern lights. Winter in Edmonton may be cold, but it's never boring. Learn more at exploreedmonton.com.
Just hit the pedal. If things go wrong, it's just incidental. My bad, never got the memo. You never have fun while you're in the limo. Yeah, you wanna ride in 6, you wanna dine in 6. And when I leave for the kiss, you said I'll probably send you some pics. And I'm like, hell no, been waiting too long. Hell no, I want that cruel love. Hell no, been waiting too long. Hell no, I want that cruel love. Body on my, losing all my innocence. Yeah, body on my, finding all my innocence. Yeah, body on my, losing all my innocence.
Doug MacLean along with Kira Lyons here at halftime. Paul D at the Expo Center north of downtown Edmonton. 33-27 Canada up on Puerto Rico through 20 minutes of play. We talked about some of the numbers before we went to break and look at some of the more in-depth numbers. Fast break points, interestingly enough, 7-5 in favor of Puerto Rico. So as we talked about a little bit earlier, Canada unable to get on the break. Puerto Rico's done a decent job of that. Bench points, one number that's interesting, 19-9 in favor of Canada. So that depth coming through a little bit. Biggest lead for Canada was 8. Biggest for Puerto Rico was 3, and that was right at after the opening tip where they're up 3-0. Well, again, all in all, a fairly evenly played game. Last thing I'll mention, points in the paint, 20-6 in favor of Canada. So certainly Puerto Rico's done a decent job shooting the ball from the outside, whereas Canada's been able to, against this zone, work the ball inside a little bit more effectively against Puerto Rico.
And we had talked a little bit at half about the struggles with the three-point shot for Canada, and just can't find a rhythm in their shots. A little bit of hesitation. Can't just catch and shoot. Doesn't feel like there's good flow with that. And I think it's a good thing that they're able to score within the paint because, you know, they haven't been able to hit many threes in the first half. But like we had talked about, Canada's a good three-point shooting team. They're going to figure out how to adjust to the Puerto Rican defense. And I think the three ball will definitely become a lot more of an issue for Puerto Rico as, you know, the game continues.
Right. Puerto Rico joined FIBA back in 1957. Canada, not a founding member, but certainly one of the very early members of FIBA, joining back in 1936. And we will get ourselves underway. It will be Canada basketball. They will go with Raincock, Akunwe, Hill, Achanwa, Carlton, and Kia Nurse, while for Puerto Rico it'll be Rosado, Lozada, Cabbage, Quinones, Guathme, and O'Neill. Kick out, and Carlton stepped on that sideline. We've seen a couple players do that in that exact same spot here so far tonight. Of course, earlier today, Cuba put itself in a good position with a 70-68 victory over Dominican Republic. Cuba will take on Puerto Rico tomorrow, and there is Rosado with a huge three. 33-30.
The last time these two teams met, Rosado was the performer for Puerto Rico with 11 points. I think 4 assists, something like that. So good performance for her, and she's showing her confidence. And so is Nurse.
3 straight threes now for Canada. Kia Nurse, the latest to join the party.
It's contagious. It's definitely contagious. Missing threes is contagious, missing shots is contagious, and making them, same thing. It's crazy how much the one person starts catching fire and how that can translate to the rest of the team.
Foul here on Achanwa on the closeout. Guathme gets bumped, and she will now head to the free throw line. Second foul on Achanwa, first team foul for Team Canada in the third quarter. That one rattles in off the glass and home. Second one good. Carlton, pull-up jumper, no good. Rebound, Raincock, Akunwe, and it's good. Bridget Carlton, who has been fairly quiet here so far today, no points so far in this game. And that was her first field goal attempt of the game. Raincock Akunwe completes the three-point play. 7-point lead for Canada. Lozada Cabbage as Canada tries to extend their defense, puts it on the floor. Nice play there. Just sort of deals with that contact from Raincock Akunwe and then calmly knocks it off the glass and in.
Very strong take, just kind of pushed her off on her way to the rim. It didn't really seem like it took that much for her, but a really nice play.
Extra pass attempt there from Raincock Akunwe trying to find Achanwa. Ends up being turned over, and Puerto Rico takes advantage. O'Neill with another three. And same thing, every time Canada gets a little bit of a lead, Puerto Rico finds a way to push right back. Achanwa on the feed from Bridget Carlton. Here's Rosado, finds Lozada Cabbage. As mentioned, former Wichita State Shocker. Gets it back into Quinones. They go big here right now, do Puerto Rico. Little fade away jumper from O'Neill, who just continues to fire away.
Yeah, she's becoming a bit of a problem for Canadians.
Carleton three. That one's well short. Didn't get a lot of leg on that one. You mentioned at halftime, I mean, a lot of these players, be it from Puerto Rico or Canada, have come from a long way to get here. Carleton won. She's come from Australia, as did Kia Nurse. Nurse with the rebound. She'll push it up the floor. Nurse takes it all by herself. Gets hit and earns herself a trip to the line.
She is so good at just taking the ball so strong to the hoop and creating contact. Like if you watch it right here, just leans right into her, waves the ball over top, drops her shoulder, just creates that contact and gives her a really good chance at not only putting it in, but getting to the line.
Speed and strength, certainly a pretty tough combination, and Kia Nurse possesses both.
And the smarts too, to understand she's going at them with power, recognizing the second they're out of position, dropping that shoulder, initiating contact. Just very well done. That's really hard to do. You know, you're coming down on someone one-on-one and they're, you know, getting lower and lower underneath the rim. Like it's not an easy thing to be able to initiate that and create the contact to create a foul.
Nurse thought she had some help in behind from Achonwa, but none was there, and Rosado with the relatively easy layup. Nice pump fake by Ringkaka Kunwe to score the nice deuce. Quinones kicks it out. Rosada Cabbage gives it right back to her. And nice shot off the glass and in, and we go back and forth. 2-point Canadian lead. Nurse tries to step around Quinones, couldn't do it. And a lane violation against Achonwa. Substitution in, Miranda Aim checks back in as Achonwa will sit down.
And Achonwa just had a banner raised to the rafters at Notre Dame, had her number retired. I believe it's called the Ring of Honor. I think she did it right before she flew out here to prepare for this. So congratulations to her on that. 4 Final Four appearances, I believe, in her NCAA career. Yeah, done amazing things both as a student athlete, but also in the community. And I believe she won the class award from the WNBA this year, which is, you know, working with your community, volunteering. So a lot of these women, there's so much more that they do behind the scenes than just put in work for basketball, and looking through their careers in their colleges and their pro careers, just the student athlete aspect and the want to, you know, create a better sport for future generations. And it's a very inspiring group of women. And you know, the more research I did for this tournament, the more I was just blown away by their accomplishments both on and off the floor, and Achonwa was definitely one of those.
Playing for that Notre Dame Fighting Irish women's basketball powerhouse. And Allie Gibson did a great job on that last possession, just sneaking through late, grabbing that offensive rebound, getting a quick shot off. It almost dropped, but gets herself a trip to the free throw line. Played in the 2018 World Cup for Puerto Rico. As mentioned, a former Oregon State Beaver.
And I'll correct myself, Achonwa won the WNBA Cares Community Assist Award, so it was on her commitment to mental health, suicide prevention, empowering women, and educating women. So pretty amazing stuff.
As you said, a lot of these players from all countries, I mean, they're so not just involved in playing the sport, but doing all kinds of other things. And it's a big part of what sport is and how sport provides back to a wide range of communities.
And I really do think that this generation of women basketball players is kind of the turning point in the sport. It's obviously been a gradual growth, and everyone that's been involved is just as important. But you know, WNBA is starting to get you know, being aired on TV, and people are starting to pay attention to the March Madness and the women's, and it's just really gaining a lot of momentum, and I think it has a lot to do with this generation of players.
Puerto Rico now ahead 48-47. I don't think there are too many people that would have thought with 5 minutes to go in the third quarter that they would be ahead of Team Canada, but they are full measure for it. They have been arguably the better team here so far tonight and are finding ways to stay right with the number 4 ranked team in the world. Salomon back to O'Neill, another jumper, that one a little strong. Rebound, Carlton. Sorry, that's Gaucher, my mistake. And now she gets the ball back up to Nurse. Kick out Gaucher, 3, good, huge score for Canada. They needed that one. Try to wrestle a little bit of momentum back from what Puerto Rico has been able to do.
And just a little slow of a rotation there by Puerto Rico gave Gaucher enough time and space. And like I said, these Canadians are good shooters, so you're not going to hold them, to a low percentage for very long, especially if you're not contesting their threes.
Wonderful take there by Allie Gibson. Able to scoop that one off the left side of the rim, window and in. And timeout called by Lisa Tomaitis. Puerto Rico leading 50-49. Again, these teams played back at the AmeriCup in September, where Canada defeated them 78-50. So Puerto Rico's already matched their total point-wise from that game. And for Canada, and again, full credit to Puerto Rico, Canada has not been able to get any kind of consistent flow to their game here throughout most of the evening.
Yeah, it hasn't felt like, exactly that. Just no rhythm, no flow, and like you said, it could be a lot of different things. This tournament has a lot of factors outside of basketball that weigh heavily on the players. A lot of these, almost the entire roster, flew from Europe or Australia, or so big flight, 26 hours of flying, and not to mention jet lag, trying to, come from one team to play with another, and there's a lot of different things that come into play when you put this together, and playing in front of your home crowd. Like, it doesn't happen very often, and they've had really great experiences playing on home soil. So I think the pressure is on a little bit to perform because they have done so well, and teams fans are coming out to support them and watch them because of the successes they've had, and that adds a little bit of pressure. So on top of all those other things, just something you got to work through, and something I'm sure they're no strangers to.
Leading scorer right now for Puerto Rico is Jennifer O'Neill. She's got 17 points. Next leading scorer for them is Rosado with 7. So O'Neill has really been the catalyst for Canada. Raincock Akunwe with 12. Kia Nurse with 11. Another turnover. That's over and back as Puerto Rico forced the turnover.
Oh, we got lucky there.
Here is Nurse with the ball. Her family has been in town the last few days, and her brother Darnell played this afternoon for the Edmonton Oilers, losing in overtime to the Dallas Stars. 3 will not go.
And her uncle was at the game on Thursday.
Former NFL quarterback Donovan McNabb.
Pretty athletic family.
Yeah.
Also a cousin on the women's national hockey team. Sarah Nurse, I believe her name is. So no strangers to the athletic spotlight.
Shot blocked. And Raincock Akunwe comes up with it. Scott, quick look at a 3, goes! Big score, and she tries to fire up her teammates. Yes, Kia's dad, Richard, a former Canadian Football League receiver. So yeah, it's a little bit of athleticism in that family.
I believe her older sister also played, I'm not sure where, but university or NCAA basketball too. So had a nice role model to kind of pave the way and go through the recruiting process and all of those types of things.
Nurse with the offensive rebound, goes by herself, draws the foul on Maldonado. A couple times I've seen Nurse do that where I'm just taking this to the rim. I don't care what's going on. I'm just going to do this by myself, at least get myself to the free throw line. And I think that's exactly what she was doing here.
and she's so good at it. Just finds a way to just get the defense just a little bit off balance, just goes right into them. No fear like on her takes in. And I mean, she's played some incredibly high-level basketball, and so I don't think fear is a huge factor in her game.
Just 2 years with the New York Liberty in the WNBA, and now with the Canberra Capitals in the Australian Professional League.
That's got to be tough, eh? Just living in Australia, playing pro ball. Not bad.
Yeah, not bad. Knocks down the first free throw and the second. And she will now take a breather, I'm guessing not for long. Shayna Pellington checks in. Pressure shown now by Canada. Guathme comes up with it. And she'll pull up for the jumper. That one won't go. Again, I've been so impressed by the rebounding of Puerto Rico. Every single loose ball, they've got 2 or 3 sets of hands on them. And then again here, we've got a tie-up, and the arrow will favor Canada.
That's something we had talked about before the game started, just keys. And Puerto Rico, those 50-50 balls, those touches, like those are things that they really need to capitalize on, because they do give up, you know, other aspects of the game. But those are things that you can control. That's hustle, that's heart, that's effort, and those are things that, and I'm not saying that Canada's not putting in the hustle, hard effort, because they are. They're fighting the entire time. It's just, you know, Puerto Rico knows that those are going to be the keys to how they win this game, and they're really doing a good job of just disrupting.
Guathme, strong take to the middle of the lane, and she will draw the foul. I think that will go, and that will be on Gauthier. That's her third. So Guathme will head to the free throw line, and Gauthier will take a seat. Aaliyah Edwards will come into the game for her. Jasmine Guathme, Colonial Athletic Association Player of the Year back in 2016. Mentioned earlier, she played in the WNBA with San Antonio and Indiana, but more recently has played professionally also in Australia as well as in Spain. And that trap can't get set by Puerto Rico, and now Edwards with it in the corner. Aim at the free throw line. And that's going to be a foul on Edwards.
That's too bad. I really liked that. That was a good-looking rebound.
Not sure if they feel she got a left arm maybe on the hole. We'll see her come from the weak side. That didn't look like much there.
No.
I'm not sure if there was something before, but
I didn't think there was much there. That's too bad. That was a good play and would have been a nice hoop.
Rosado puts that shot up, won't go. Rebound to Chandra, one of the few rebounds that have been uncontested for Team Canada. Pellington. Another offensive foul. This one's going to be on Pellington, saying that she got an arm up in the face, and you can see it there, just a bit inadvertent in the face of Lozada Cabbage. And just as she tried to go around her, just sometimes that just caught her in the face. So back-to-back offensive fouls.
Yeah, that's not what you want with under 2 minutes in the third and a 2-point game, but
Guathme puts it on the floor, right to the rim, and the shot goes. Beautiful play by Guathme, as they've been able to break down Canada from the perimeter. And Guathme having a very solid night for Puerto Rico.
she's been to the stripe quite a few times, it feels like.
She's 5 for 8 so far tonight. That one drops in now with 10 points. And Puerto Rico again in front. This would be considered a massive upset if Puerto Rico can hold on to this lead over the next 11 minutes. But they have done all the work so far to put themselves in a position to do just that. foul against Puerto Rico. It's going to be a hold, I believe, on Salomon.
Yeah, Nurse recognized the size difference, took her in, trying to post her up, and just the battle.
Second personal on Salomon, fourth team foul. Pellington finds Aim in the corner. Jumper in and out. Nurse couldn't come down with it. Pellington gets it back, and she'll put it up and in.
Aim struggling a little bit with that jumper. She's taken quite a few from the top of the key. That was, there hasn't been too many from the side like that, but good looking shot, lots of time, lots of space, and just bouncy. It seems to be kind of the story of the teams today, is just those rims are just so bouncy and very unforgiving.
And she has been left open for some looks like that. Foul on the aforementioned Aim. She fouled her fellow number 9, Ali Gibson. Tanechka Canales will check into the game. Played for the University of Puerto Rico, Bayamon. And we are tied again. And not for long. Puerto Rico back in front by 1. Here is Pellington. Canada continues to work against this Puerto Rican zone. Into Achonwa.
Tried to kick it.
Achonwa gets the seal on Gibson. Gibson had to hold her, so now Achonwa will head to the free throw line.
That zone is being played really high too, putting the pressure on Canada right as they basically cross the half line, making it tough to even look to put it inside, because contested pass and long distance make that pretty tough.
I don't know how popular soccer is in Puerto Rico, but Gibson was doing her best impression right there. Achonwa calmly knocks down the first. 5 years with the Indiana Fever of the WNBA. This past season, 8.7 points a game, 5.2 rebounds a game. Second one, no good. Edwards with the rebound. Won't go. Put back up by Rainkaka Kunwe. Salomon quickly up the floor. Shot off, and it would not have counted. So, back and forth game. Canada up now 59-57. The fourth-ranked team in the world getting all they can handle from Puerto Rico.
Yeah, they're really struggling on offense to just get anything easy and get some movement and some flow. And Puerto Rico is just doing a really great job in that zone of just disrupting what Canada's trying to do. And Canada's having a hard time adjusting. So credit to Puerto Rico for what they're doing, because they're executing their game plan and they're doing a really good job of it.
That zone has certainly worked wonders for Puerto Rico. They played it very, very well, and the quickness they have and the size they have allowed them to play it fairly well. And we've talked a little bit about Canada's struggles at times to knock down open shots. As you get a look at some of the highlights from the third quarter, if we take a quick look at some of the numbers, Jennifer O'Neill, 17 points to lead the way for Puerto Rico. Jasmine Guathme with 10. For Canada, Rainkaka Kunwe leads them with 14. Kia Nurse with 13. Rebounds, Canada with 32. 9 on the offensive glass so far. Out-rebounding Puerto Rico. They've got 23, just 4 on the offensive glass. 13 Puerto Rican turnovers. 15 committed so far by Canada. Shooting-wise, Canada from the field 45%, now up to 29% from the three-point line. Puerto Rico a little better in that third quarter. They're up to 41% from the field, and they are 28% from the three-point line. So a game that has been quite even here so far. Continues to be just that. Biggest lead for Canada is 8 points. Biggest for Puerto Rico, 3.
14 lead changes.
That
is a lot of lead changes.
And points in the paint was 32-18 through 3 quarters, is 32-18 through 3 quarters of play.
Oh, that was very close to a carry.
Rosado nearly loses, then slides. Guathme, shot clock winding down. That shot won't go. Rebound was in the hands of Edwards. She lost it. Lozada Cabbage got it back, but couldn't put away the easy 2-footer.
Canada got away with one there.
And there, good work by Canada. Ball doesn't touch the ground, and Raincock Akunwe with the score. Canada up by 4.
It's nice to see that because like we had talked about, it seems like everything that they've made has been so hard, and that, that looked easy. It was quick ball movement down the floor quick. So it's nice that they're getting rewarded with some easy hoops with that anyways.
But as we've seen all game long, Puerto Rico comes right back. Lozada Cabbage in transition with the score, and now the other end, a foul. And Raincock Akunwe will head to the free throw line. Has played professionally in the U.S. with the New York Liberty, as well as in Russia with Nadezhda Orenburg.
She was a Simon Fraser athlete, so for those who don't know, they were a CIS member until, I'm not even sure what year.
I'm going to say it was around 2010, because they played the Alberta Pandas in a national final in Scott Edwards' first year, and that was 2008. So
a very dominant program there, moved to the NCAA, and so she stayed with the Canadian team, which there's a couple players on the roster that have, but not often do they stay. And I know they went to the NCAA eventually, but Canadian teams don't normally generate Olympians and national team contenders. So her and Langlois as well, who played for Windsor.
Yes, former Windsor Lancer. Pellington, hard to the rim. And we'll get a foul on the second on the rebound by Raincock Akunwe. So she will head to the free throw line. Nice take by Pellington, and there's the foul on Quinones from behind. Quinones herself played in the NCAA with the Dartmouth Big Green. Graduated this season. Got some microphone issues, I think, not with ours, but some other ones going on here in the building right now.
Right in the middle of her free throws is the worst time.
Of course, and the building gets quiet as fans try to do, and then
I feel bad for the anxiety, whoever's mic that was.
I was like, oh, that's not ours, I hope, is it? We're not doing this. Rosado back to O'Neill, 63-61. Lots of time left in this game. O'Neill, who's been outstanding today, working against Pellington.
Wow.
And yet again, Jennifer O'Neill.
She is so smooth with her handles. Wow.
Pellington, not much else you can do defensively there if you're Shayna Pellington. Raincock Akunwe right into Kia Nurse with O'Neill on her, loses it. Lost it again, gets it to Guathme. Rosado zips it out. O'Neill for 3. Won't drop. Achanwa with the rebound, and now Pellington up the floor.
Oh.
Edwards did a great job. And Pellington misses that putback. Edwards ran the floor and then just stopped, basically trying to create a seal so that lob could come in. I don't think O'Neill expected that. All ran right into her.
Yeah, that looked like it hurt. She's
walking
pretty slow right now.
Nothing illegal about that at all. That was just she was just trying to create some space, recognizing that they could lob that one into her. And O'Neill, I don't think expected that at all, just ran full on into the much larger Aaliyah Edwards. And O'Neill seems to be okay, which is a good sign.
Basically like taking an unexpected screen.
Yeah, when you're just not ready for it. Achonwa, good work around
Good
Guathme.
power.
Canada with the majority of their starting lineup in right now, and that's going to be a blocking foul. That's going to go on Sammy Hill.
I like seeing that take from Achonwa because it was just power, just pure power, determination that she was going to score and put that over top of her, and she did. And I hope to see a little bit more of that because it's nice to see that that aggression.
Well, again, those points in the paint have favored Canada throughout this game. Here's Nurse, Hill to Gaucher. Into the middle. Rainkaka-Koonway kicks it back out. Lots of time on the shot clock, 7 left. Rainkaka-Koonway, 3! (68-63), but every time Canada's done this, Puerto Rico's had an answer. And this is the player that's done it a lot tonight. O'Neill with Hill on her. Shot a little strong, and now Hill up ahead. Kia Nurse. And that's going to be a foul on Rosado. This has been a very physical game. I mean, there's been a lot of both ways. I mean, both teams playing clean but physical throughout most of this contest.
And that same thing in the earlier game. Very physical, clean, like not dirty play, but they want it. You know, this is, whether it's a pre-qualifier or a qualifying tournament, all of these steps are pertinent in getting to the Olympics, and it's really important. And I think this probably isn't where Canada expected to be with 6.5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter against Puerto Rico. And it's, you know, it's becoming a bit of a dogfight.
Yep. And Rosado might have taken the worst of that. She picked up the foul and took that shoulder sort of inadvertently in the head from Kia Nurse. Gaucher, Nurse cuts down the lane, another turnover, but Canada gets it right back. Bit forced there by Hill, and it's just a hot potato right now.
Smart.
Nurse is going to just try to settle things out.
Recognize she didn't have the numbers. It's been a little bit chaotic. Let's bring it out, get something easy, just like that.
Back sealed, nice recognition by Hill, just softly lobbed it in, and Puerto Rico decides to call timeout. And again, when they've done this, and head coach Gerardo Batista has done a great job here today recognizing when this building's about to get going, when Canada's about to get going, and he's been able to calm his team down, and they've come out and have been able to push back right away. We'll see if they have another answer here.
That's a really good point. They haven't been able to just build off their momentum. Anytime that something happens where they start to pull away a little bit or hit a couple shots, get a little bit of momentum going, timeout. Subs, something. He has something on the go to just disrupt it. That's the name of the game, I think, today from Puerto Rico, from the bench and the coaching staff, is just disrupt what Canada, what their game plan is, and they're doing a fantastic job of it.
Yep, they've really done it both. I mean, the timeouts, and when those have happened, substitutions, as you said, even in this zone that they've played and the full court pressure they've thrown out. Saw the shooting numbers there moments ago, 48% for Canada from the field, 40% right now for Puerto Rico. Canada, again, Puerto Rico, the quick hands, responsible for those 7 steals. So with 6:02 to go, this crowd getting into things. Canada up 7. Their largest lead of the game has been 8. And we have had multiple lead changes throughout this game. Puerto Rico to inbound from the baseline. Up to 15 lead changes now. Canada has led for 21 minutes. Puerto Rico for a little over 8. Nice job defensively here by Canada, but Puerto Rico gets the ball into the hands of O'Neill. Step back, jump shot goes.
Wow. And great defense by Sammy Hill. Almost got a touch on that. I don't know how many times I thought O'Neill was going to get blocked. Aaliyah Edwards I thought was going to block her. Nurse Hill, but she just gets that shot off so quick. And man, she is tough to stop here tonight.
And she has been absolutely fantastic. Sammy Hill, 3, won't go. Rebound will go to Puerto Rico. So far that timeout has worked. Solomon now for Puerto Rico. Kicks it out. Guathme, extra pass. Lozada Cabbage on the floor. And she'll be hit by Aim.
Nice recognition there by Rain Kakakunwe. She came over to help as soon as Salomon picked up the ball and looked out at her teammate out on the baseline. Shaded a little bit, just showed, ran right back, was able to contest. I don't think she was even able to get a shot off. She was able to contest the pass across, but just really good defensive awareness by Rain Kakakunwe.
Sabrina Lozada Cabbage at the free throw line, 2 for 2 so far, make that 3 for 3. She leads Puerto Rico in minutes played. 28-38 so far. Very fluent in sign language. Both of her parents are deaf, so she uses sign language. And in fact, one thing I read about her says, tries to use even a little bit of that on the floor when she's playing, just in terms of some of those signals that you can use. So interesting.
That's very
side
interesting.
Note. Hill to Gaucher. Rain Kakakunwe on the floor, kicks it out to Nurse. Shot clock winding down. Nurse is going to have to get this one off. She does, and no rim at all, so that will be a shot clock violation. (70-67). Quick 4-0 run by Puerto Rico to get themselves back within one possession. O'Neill gets fouled by Achanwa.
That looked decently soft as well.
Well, it's certainly the one thing, and it's talked about a lot in terms of the difference in officiating when you watch FIBA rules officiated in Canada or North America, and I can't speak for other parts of the world in terms of domestic leagues, but it's very different, called often much tighter at the international level. Salomon gets around Gaucher. Shot would not go, and she's pointing to her head saying she got hit, and she might have a case.
She was pointing at her headband, I think, showing
how it moved, yeah. And I think she had a case that she would have been bumped, or she was bumped by Gaucher. Gaucher corner, shot won't drop, and that's going to be an offensive foul on Sammy Hill on the rebound.
O'Neill, I think, did a good job selling that one as well. That's a part of it, like we've seen Nurse, early, not so much later in the game, but able to sell those calls, and that can be a big factor, especially in a close game like this, getting close to the end.
Head coach Lisa Tomaitis was not a fan of that call. Second foul on Sammy Hill, Canada's 4th here in the 4th quarter. Here is O'Neill. Hill trying to keep up with her. Guathme now with the ball. Finds Maldonado. That pass went right through Quinones. And now here is Nurse. Nearly loses it, gets bumped, and now Gaucher finds Rain Kakakunwe left wide open in that zone. Nice recognition and find for Rain Kakakunwe.
Those haven't happened very often in this game where it's pass, score, so got to take advantage of those opportunities when they come.
Maldonado, 3 will not drop. Achanwa to Nurse. Sees no help in behind. Steps back. Shot goes for Kia Nurse. And then, not sure what happened after.
Well, they've been chirping at each other quite a bit throughout the game. I've seen just little things like that.
And they still are. Salomon still trying to get into the ear of Deshali Salomon, native of Carolina, Puerto Rico. And the official still talking things over. Kia Nurse just waiting at the free throw line. She just wanted to get that shot off, and again, shows the great touch all these athletes have, just able to find the right spot on the glass to drop that one in. Quite a conversation here between the three officials, so I'm not sure what they may be, if they're just maybe trying to clarify who the foul was on.
And Nurse got a technical for, she chirped her a little bit after it went in. So she'll shoot.
So that was the clarity, was the foul first on Salomon. And then the technical on Nurse. So the technical, I would think the technical should go first, and then the Nurse free throw would be after. But I might be wrong on that. They're going to go here.
I was thinking it would probably be Nurse first because,
This would be the one that's in play. But Nurse's shot, I don't know what's going on here right now, because she should still get a free throw. I don't understand why they're not even going to give her a free throw at all right now. She got fouled going up.
It was an and one, was it not? Yeah.
So I don't know what, I think the officials might go over to the scores table and get some clarity here, because this is very confusing. And if there's a technical called on Nurse, then my understanding would be you take that free throw first, and then Canada would get the free throw after. So unless they're saying they just wipe each other out.
That's what it feels like right now, which is super
unorthodox. Yeah, if that's a rule, that I admit is completely new to me. So if you're watching, we apologize. We're as confused as seemingly a lot of people in here are, but that's what we're doing. So no free throws either way, and it's Puerto Rico ball. So off we go. Kira and I will quit trying to guess.
Confuse you more.
Rosado kicks it back. Quinones for three, goes. Huge shot for Quinones.
And not an easy shot. She had a Chunwa running out at her to contest it too, so that's a long arm.
Her first three of the game. Nurse with Guathme on her. Gets it into Achonwa. Spins, what a take.
Wow.
And a fired up Natalie Achonwa. Great footwork to open herself up for that left hand. Guathme. And a blocking foul will go, I believe, on Kia Nurse. That will be her second. And that will send Guathme to the free throw line. 6 of 9 so far here tonight. Thanks for tuning in. 2:15 to go. Fourth quarter. Canada, Puerto Rico. Doug McLean along with Kira Lyons here from Hall D at the Expo Center in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. 4-point game yet again. Puerto Rico has done a masterful job all game long of not allowing Canada to stretch any lead they build up. Pellington to Scott. Nearly has it tied up. Now Nurse. Achonwa, three for Nurse. Won't go. Couple Canadians with the ball, and Raincock Akunwe comes up with it. 10 on the shot clock. Jamie Scott asks for the screen, gets it there. Shot clock winding down. Pellington has to get it off and does, but contested, no rim. So a minute 36 to go, 2-possession game. Puerto Rico trails by 4.
And they've switched out the defense, so they got Pellington on O'Neill now. They've kind of been rotating, a few different players. So it's interesting with a minute and a half. One of the youngest players on their team, they decide to match her up with the best player on the other team, so good for her.
Nice job defensively by Raincock. Akuna did tip that ball away. Now here's Quinones contest. Kicks it out. Shot does not go. Easily rebounded by Achonwa. And Nurse quickly up the floor. Crossover. Decides to pull it back out. Nice job by Gwathmeh to defend her. Nurse decides to take the three. That one won't go, and no rebounders there for Canada. And up ahead, Gwathmeh finishes the layup. 2-point game. Timeout, Canada. Puerto Rico thought Gwathmeh got hit going up.
Yeah, I'm really surprised they didn't call something there. Just how tight they've been calling their attacks to the rim, like pretty much the entire game. I'm surprised that she didn't get something there, but thankfully she didn't. That's just insult to injury when you miss a three, come back, get scored on, and then it's an and one as well. So
57.3 to go. One possession game, Canada ball. And at this point for Canada, I mean, you certainly want to score, but you want a good solid possession here. Get yourself a good look. Important situation here for both of these teams, trying to go to 2-0 in this FIBA Women's Pre-Olympic or Olympic pre-qualifying tournament. The winner basically punches their ticket to the Olympic qualifying tournament in February. One of the ones either in China, Serbia, France, or Belgium. While the other team will have to scrap a little bit more tomorrow to try to earn that spot.
And not to put pressure on Canada, but I do believe they're 11-0 on home soil.
I think that is correct. Since Edmonton became the home of the senior women's national team, I think you're right. It is 11-0.
I was pretty sure it was 10-0 before this tournament. So.
Yeah, you see there's a good shot of the replay. No contact there, at least on the arm. You saw Nurse slap at it, but did not actually make contact with the arm of Gwathmeh. Canada choosing to take the ball at their own baseline. We saw this earlier with Cuba and Dominican Republic. Probably in this case, maybe just kill a little bit more time before you really get into your half-court set.
Confidence in their guards, be able to bring it up against pressure, eat off some of that clock.
Scott, Raincock-Akunwe. Here is Pellington. Inside, Raincock-Akunwe spins. Well done. Again, wonderful footwork by one of the Canada posts, and they're up 78-74.
Just a beautiful job getting position in there and you know, getting that inside, and made it look so easy, so smooth, so easy. Beautiful play at a big moment in the game.
Not that I was ever a post, but that looks exactly what coaches used to do to teach me how to do it. Here's and I could never do it, but look at that, just that extra spin, holds the pivot foot and then up.
Just that one little shoulder check middle to pull the help, pull them middle, baseline's open. Yeah, beautiful work. And
exactly what Canada needed at that moment in time, just a good solid possession, take a little bit of time off the clock, and the most important part in this case, get a score.
When you put the ball inside like that, or you attack the rim with this much time left, you also give yourself a chance to get fouled. So not only do you have a good chance of, you know, getting a two, but you give yourself that extra chance to go to the line as well. Whereas if you're taking outside shots, I mean, obviously you're not going to pass up a beautiful open shot. You know, you take what you get, but I think the goal is an easy hoop if you can get it close to the rim so that it's a high percentage shot and a good chance that you're going to get fouled as well.
Yeah. And Canada has done a good job throughout this game getting points inside. Puerto Rico will take the ball across half.
Yeah, not to mention the points inside. Like, that's their advantage this game, and they haven't been shooting the three ball really well. So, I mean, it's the obvious look.
O'Neal to inbound. I have to think the ball's going to end up back in her hands at some point on this possession. And they want it inside to Lozada Cabbage, and there it is to O'Neal with Pellington on her. Spins away, kicks it out. Rosado. Three goes and fouled.
Oh my.
What a shot by Rosado as she tried to initiate some contact while in the air, but O'Neal finds her. Two players close out.
Oh my.
So couldn't draw that up any better if you're Puerto Rico.
And credit to Pellington on that possession there. Just stellar defense on O'Neill. Going under screens, just keeping up with her foot speed. Pellington is quick.
Very quick. And O'Neill certainly is too. And Rosado got left open. Canada closed. Free throw good, and we are tied at 78. The number 4 ranked team in the world tied with the number 24 team, Puerto Rico. Here is Pellington. And a foul on Guathme, and that is not what you want. 19.7, and she's got to be careful not to pick up anything else, as she's made a couple gestures, and head coach Gerardo Batista not happy. But we've seen that called pretty consistently all game long, both ways.
Yeah, I think like as much as some of the calls I thought might have been a little light or soft, it's been very consistent. And when you're looking for good officiating, that's the number one thing.
Right.
Is if they're a little bit tighter than you'd like or not calling as much as you'd like, if they stay that way throughout the whole game, you can adjust your game to the officiating. Whereas if it's an inconsistent problem, it's very hard as a player to know what the limits are, what you're allowed to do. So consistency is key, and I think that the officiating's been very consistent. So you don't really want to notice the officiating too much, and I don't think it's been like that at all.
Kia Nurse perfect at the free throw line today. 2-point lead. Puerto Rico will call timeout. They can hold for last shot, a chance to tie or win. And I don't think anybody, other than the Puerto Ricans and their fans, would have thought this was going to be what we'd be talking about with 19.7 seconds left.
Yeah, I did not expect this coming into that, and that is credit to Puerto Rico. They have done such a fabulous job of just making sure Canada didn't find a rhythm there and hitting big shots. Canada comes down, gets an easy layup or hits a three. Puerto Rico's got the answer. It's been so back and forth, and they've done such a good job staying in this game and leading for however many lead changes we've had, like probably close to 20 at this point, I think. And yeah, they've done a fabulous job, and Canada's been grinding as well. Not necessarily what they're used to playing, but they're finding a way to grind, and they're leading a very, very small margin of a lead, but credit to them as well, because this is a Puerto Rico team that came to play.
They absolutely did. 17 lead changes. Canada has led for 26-29 of this game. Puerto Rico 8-0-3. But none of that matters right now. It could come down to this final possession, 19.7. Puerto Rico, so far in this game, 31% from the three-point line. They don't have to shoot the three, of course, but they could if they want to really put the pressure on Team Canada or end this thing outright if they do it with the game clock winding down. Quinones. Now O'Neill, and she gets fouled by Gaucher. So looks like we might be deciding this thing at the free throw line at this rate. So that will send Jennifer O'Neill to the line.
And I believe that was Pellington that got that.
You're right, it is Pellington. I thought it might have been on Gaucher, but that's going to be Pellington, her second.
I was just about to praise how well she was getting over those screens and just how unbelievably quick and smart she is on defense.
O'Neill misses the first. She's now 2 for 3 from the free throw line. 21 points in just under 28 minutes. Misses the second. Rebound, Rain Kakakune. She gets fouled. So now she will head to the free throw line with a chance to make it a full or two possession game.
Did I just see Pellington grab the rim?
I did not, but you might have. I missed it, but
I caught it at the corner of my eye, and she was running down there. I'm pretty sure she just grabbed the rim.
It would not shock me.
My goodness.
Rain Kakakunwe at the free throw line, 4 of 6 so far today. 25 points for her to lead all scores. Hits the first. That's a big one for
That is a big
Team
one.
Canada.
So calm, looks so confident at the line too.
Two-possession game, 12.3 to go. Substitution in for Gerardo Batista. Salomon will check back in. Here is Salomon. Canada cannot have happen what happened moments ago, where it was a 3 and a foul. Salomon takes it right to the rim, scores.
Good defense. Good defense is making sure contesting don't want her to score and go to the line, and they're in bonus now, so go to the line either way. But yeah, good defense, just straight up. Unfortunately, she did get scored on, but last thing you want to do is foul, and did a good job avoiding that.
So 5.5 to go now. Canada will have the choice of where they want to inbound. My guess is they too, in this case, will go at half. I mean, get the ball away from your own rim at this point in time. You know Puerto Rico is going to be looking for the quick steal. If that's not there, then the foul.
Yeah, I'd be shocked if they did it from the baseline. I definitely miscalled that in the last game with Cuba.
Well, you and I both. We both
Yeah.
thought that was an interesting decision at that point in time.
So I would be shocked if they took it from the baseline as well. But
Canada 81% from the free throw line in this game. Of the players on the floor, they have all been at the line except for Kim Gaucher today. Aim 1 for 1, Nurse 6 for 6, Pellington 3 for 4, and Raincock Akunwe 6 of 8. And it will be the veteran Gaucher with the responsibility of getting the ball in play. Former Utah Ute. Puerto Rico choosing not to defend the inbound. Down the passer, and Scott in the game now. She gets fouled.
Gaucher, the second Canadian to make it to the WNBA Finals. Drafted by the Sacramento Monarchs. And the first female athlete to have her jersey retired by the University of Utah.
It's interesting. 17 years, we said before, with the national team. So you've got a good look there at Team Canada head coach Lisa Tomaitis. The foul will go on Rosado. Scott has not taken any free throws so far today. Kuzmanik will check into the game for Ali Gibson. Scott drains the first.
It's a big free throw.
And the second. And we'll get a substitution into the game. Pellington back in, so Canada can just back off. Rosado shot won't go, and an outstanding performance today by Puerto Rico, and Canada found a way to win. And when you're the number 4 team in the world, those kind of teams tend to find ways, but they really had to battle against a very impressive Puerto Rican team here today.
Puerto Rico was fearless, just absolutely fearless in their game plan. They did such a good job defensively, offensively hitting some huge shots. O'Neal with an unbelievable game. But credit to Canada's depth. You know, they were able to do a whole bunch of different lineups, a bunch of different matchups that, you know, they were able to rotate a lot of different women to take on O'Neal, to take on different responsibilities. And at the end of the day, it was their depth. There's a little bit of a weird interaction going on here with Canada and Puerto Rico at the center, but a great game. Puerto Rico did such a good job of disrupting everything that Canada was trying to do. And, you know, Canada's number 4 in the world for a reason, and they were able to find a way to win, and that's what the best teams do. That when shots aren't falling, things aren't quite going your way, you find a way to win, and that's what Canada did here tonight.
So Canada now at 2-0. Puerto Rico falls to 1-1. and will take on Cuba tomorrow. The winner of that game will, and again, there would be some other permutations and combinations where things could be different, but essentially the winner of the Puerto Rico-Cuba game will also advance with Canada. Canada gets Dominican Republic tomorrow. That would be a monumental upset. I mean, Dominican Republic, a good team, but not in the caliber of Canada for sure. So if Canada wins that game, they're for sure through, but this win tonight should essentially put them through to the Olympic qualifying tournament in February.
And like we said, the Olympic qualifiers, the top three, so there's 4 different tournaments, 4 teams in each tournament, top 3 in each tournament move on. So, this is a big game for Canada. Hopefully it sends them to the qualifier, and hopefully they have a good tournament there to send them to the Olympics, but it's a big moment on their road to Tokyo.
So if Canada does win the game tomorrow, they would be 3-0. Dominican Republic would be 0-3. And again, the winner of that Puerto Rico-Cuba game would get the next spot in terms of finishing in the top 2. Take a look at some of the final numbers from this 84-80 Team Canada win. Leading scorer for Puerto Rico, Jennifer O'Neill, 21 points, 8 for 16 from the field. Missed a couple big free throws late.
That was a big difference, is that Canada hit their big free throws down the stretch. You had Rain Kakakunwe and
Nurse and Jamie Scott.
And Nurse, yeah, that's right as well. As they hit those big free throws when they needed them, and unfortunately for Puerto Rico, a couple really big moments with that 3-and-1, but couldn't, get the really important free throws to fall at the end.
Jasmine Guathme with 16 points for Puerto Rico, leading the way for Canada, leading all scorers. Naya Rain-Kakakunwe, she had 27 in just under 31 minutes of play. Kia Nurse, 17 points. Shooting-wise, Canada 48% from the field, 26% from the three-point line, 83% from the three-point line. Puerto Rico, 43% from the field, 29% from the three-point line, 81% from the field. So that will wrap up the numbers there for you today. Very interesting, very close 2 games. I mean, the first one we saw the 70-68 victory for Cuba over Dominican Republic in what was a very tightly contested game. And then this one, we knew Puerto Rico would push Canada. I don't think any of us thought that Puerto Rico was going to push Canada to the degree that they did here today, an 84-80 win. What can Canada take from this? I mean, of course, looks like a berth to the Olympic qualifier, but is this a game you can learn from in terms of really being pushed in a game you maybe thought you wouldn't? Can they leverage this going forward?
Absolutely. I think you're going to have a ton of different matchups throughout the journey to get to the Olympics, and at the Olympics it's not going to be an even matchup all the time, and I feel like Puerto Rico is a very interesting matchup for them because they are quite a bit smaller but really gritty, really fearless, and that's a tough team to play against. When you're 4th in the world, you end up having a little bit of a target on your back, and that's not something necessarily that Canada's really used to, I don't think. I think a lot of their success comes from the fact that Canadians have been so gritty and played with so much heart, and now they have the skill and the talent to match their grit and their heart. And but that's a tough matchup playing against Puerto Rico, who did such a good job. Their bench did such a good job disrupting their play. The coach did such a good job disrupting their zone,
yeah.
Worked really well, and as Canada couldn't really get into a flow. Their transition was really minimal, so they couldn't get out and run and use their fitness and their speed and their length. And it's definitely a big learning curve for both teams, I think. I think that's a really big confidence booster for Puerto Rico because they just lost by 4 points
right.
to the 4th best team in the world. But I also think that it's a big learning thing for Canada as well because it showed their depth. It showed
right.
that it is a tough matchup. Puerto Rico came to play. It was a really big game for them. But they found a way to win, and that's what the best teams in the world do, is when your shots aren't falling quite like you think they should, game's just not flowing, you're not quite connecting, your rhythm's not quite there, you have to find a way to win, and that's what they did tonight, and they grinded it out, and they found a way. Instead of getting frustrated with their play, they adjusted and found a way, and that's what champions do, so credit to them for doing that tonight.
84-80, Canada beats Puerto Rico. 70-68, Cuba knocks off the Dominican Republic. Tomorrow's games, 1:30 if I'm not mistaken. 1:30 is the first game. That'll be Cuba and Puerto Rico. The second game will go at 4 o'clock. That will be Canada taking on the Dominican Republic. My name is Doug McLean on behalf of Kira Lyons. Did a wonderful job today. She'll be here tomorrow along with Paul Sir in this chair. Thanks to our great crew for all the work on the cameras, replays, graphics, everything. That all the people that put this stuff together behind the scenes are the ones that really make it shine. We get the fun job of sitting here getting to talk about it. 2 great games. Canada now 2-0 heading into the final Sunday of this FIBA Women's Olympic pre-qualifying tournament. Thanks for tuning in. We hope to see you again tomorrow.